I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.
Welcome to Cookies, the world's most influential basketball podcast. It is another day in the dog days of summer. Andrew Quo, how are you staying cool, buddy?
I'm in the flow, man. I'm in the flow of my air-conditioned room. I'm in the flow of New York City. I'm in the flow of a perfect Cookies Hoops pod, man.
Oh, you are so zen, and I feel the chillness of that cooling down my fiery temper.
Yeah, I'm the guru, man. Like that New Yorker cartoon where people climb to the mountain. I'm just there chilling, podding.
You are also part of the New Yorker cartoon where you see the landscape of the entire planet laid out beyond the borders of New York City, and it's like the Rocky Mountains are over there somewhere. LA,
No. That's not the New Yorker. That's a Donald Trump doodle. That's not a Saul Steinberg. I see that Trump John Hancock there.
A wonderful, enchanting secret.
I don't doodle. Here's all these Saul Steinbergs that I've signed and donated to charity. Which is amazing. Pictures generation. What if he was like, Richard Prince is my favorite artist?
Look, I'm suing you. I'm going to sue everybody for that story.
That's an art in itself, buddy.
The art of being litigious.
Yeah.
So, I've been thinking this summer, I've been calling them brain days myself. I don't say this to anyone else. I don't tell anyone necessarily what I've been doing.
This could go a number of ways. Explain yourself.
Could go many, many ways. Dome days.
Knob days.
But the idea is that the mini social media cleanse. This is not a new concept, but just the mini one. Where it's like, okay, today let me wake up and cook some cacti in peace, read a little bit. If I was to read, in theory, one would read during this period of time. But then, say you would record a perfect podcast, maybe go to an art gallery, cook some dinner, see some friends, keep the social media hum, maybe only for like checking messages. If you be like, oh, it's now that we use, say, Instagram to communicate more than we used to, you kind of are forced to use it in that way unless you're going to make a weird announcement that you're leaving social media, which to me feels a little over the top for a brain day, dome day.
Yeah, Corey Archangel, the digital artist, used to have did one piece where it was people returning to social media, apologizing for being gone from social media, which was kind of a funny riff. So you're microdosing the raw dog experience. You're not totally going raw dog. You're semi-cooked dog.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Zweigel's White Hot.
Whoa, but those have to be cooked thoroughly, right? Those have to be linked to every Shams bomb. Those have to be responding to trolls. What?
Already cooked.
I know, but don't you gotta get a sear on it? Like you can't just it has to be like heated. Like
I mean, you're not gonna get sick by eating it.
No. Please, I never get sick. Not in this Zen state. But you want that. You don't want a pale white hot. You want some char on your white hot, right?
Yes. Of course, naturally that. But yeah, I've been trying to do it. I gotta say, kind of works. I was like, all right, maybe there's something to this not being on your phone and scrolling.
All right, I have a number of questions before I ramble about something useless. How often and for how long have you been doing this?
Not for that long, but trying to do it for like 2 days a week.
That's tight. I love it. I'm annoying and I do all this self-help stuff. Like, not even on the low. I try to do your so-called brain days often for years before I had children. Now that I have children, brain days have kind of changed because it is quality time with them with no phones. I don't care about screens. Screens can be on. It's not like Bluey or Paw Patrol. It has to be like something comfortable, educational, vibey, like Mozart or something. I don't necessarily believe classical music or silence is the way to brain activity, but my day job, I look at pictures and paintings. So I like to leaf through books for a few minutes a day, for a few hours a day. I like to watch a really good movie that maybe doesn't involve CGI. I don't know, old fashioned stuff, but stuff to clear my head of junk. And modern life is rubbish because sometimes I just avoid certain apps. I'm like, Twitter's trash. It's in a bad state right now. I'm not gonna go on Twitter, but like I might check my text messages to see if you're talking about like Marcus Smart trades or Marcus Smart buyouts. Like that is brain days for me. So it is all relative.
You are more attuned to the self help world than I am,
I
but I
love
think
that shit.
the word that would apply here would be like intentionality, right?
Whatever.
It's overused, but in this way, I think that's why I'm enjoying them
Mhm.
because deciding to go to an art gallery requires certain things. Like, okay, I'm going to have to walk there. I'm going to have to get on the train, and then I'm
And
going to
you're
do
going
this.
to check out like Mr. Monopoly, Alec Monopoly. You're going to check out Mr.
Mr.
Brainwash
Mr.
artworks.
Brainwash. There's a
That's
new
right.
brainwash show. Got to go check
New
that out.
Brainwash just dropped. You got to have that brain day.
It's perfect for brain day. It's the
Yeah.
best thing you could possibly do. But just knowing that process, right? It's like, all right, I'm going to have to walk over there. Then I'll be in the train. I'll read a little on there, or quote unquote read. Then I'll get off and I'll do that. And then I'm going to need some food. So I'm going to need to figure out a place around there that I've been wanting to check out. Like, okay, maybe I'll go to Margone, the Cuban restaurant in Times Square. Then it's like there is something about actually dictating what you're going to do versus the infinite scroll of you're going to be mad about this now.
Mhm.
Why? Because someone at some point in your algorithm decided they would say this, and now you are being subjected to it arbitrarily.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
you're being mad, you're being happy, you're laughing, your brain is going all over the place. And I have to say, I'm really liking this thing of like, no, I'm going to listen to this jazz album and cook a little food. I'm going to watch like a Michael Haneke film. Just this idea of like,
Panicky.
of,
Some
of,
light viewing right there.
I'm going to watch the piano teacher on a whim.
Funny games. That sounds great. I like funny. I like games.
I like That's perfect for a brain day.
Is this like the NBA with a comedian at halftime? Let's go.
Are there dunks?
Before social media went to straight trash, I still enjoy it. I love social media. But before, during the Friendster era, around then, I used to do a little bit of house cleaning with my IRL relationships and my friends. And, we inhabit certain hours and certain activities that maybe attract people that aren't mentally sanitary people. And every few months, I would look back and see who I talk to and spend time with and be like, I can't do that. I got to clean this up a bit. I really like so and so. I really like Ben Dietrich, but he's talking about TJ McConnell way too much on the Sixers. Stuff like that. I'd be like, I have to take control of my time because there's not enough of it. And there's people I want to talk to about TJ McConnell on the Sixers. And that was a kind of exercise that really helps me now, like a decade later, being like, I don't have to go cold turkey, but I have to be aware when I am accepting pollution into my mind zone.
Yeah, one of my good buddies had a policy, very ruthless, of just banning stuff.
Like, what did they ban? Can't
They
ban the
banned
snowman.
places, people, activities. It wasn't this constant banishment where,
Sounds like
okay,
a
that's
cop.
banned, that's banned, that's banned, but just
You're
like,
banned. You're banned.
hung out with so and so last night. I'm done with that. It's over. I'm not hanging out with them ever again. Not to
It's
say
ruthless, but it's healthy.
they
Yeah.
not to say they wouldn't say hello or they'd be rude, but like, I'm not doing that again. What
Yeah.
about going to that bar? You know what? That bar is banished. I'm not going back to that bar again. It's over.
I kind of believe in that. Blocking people on Twitter is that kind of same behavior. At a certain point, I was watching too many violent movies, so I started banning thrillers and horror movies, even if they were like interesting. It would make me upset. I would have nightmares. I'm soft.
You should
I
watch this one about this very strict piano teacher in France.
That was a great movie. That was
a
a great movie.
it's, it's genius. It's really a feel good affair.
Haneke's awesome. Yeah, I remember going to theaters to see that specific movie. But a lot of it is like, I watched the NBA Finals, but I didn't listen to a second of Stephen A. Smith, right? And I think we've talked about this on Twitter, on this Perfect Pod in different forms, but it is about a skill that is new to this generation or this era, which is selecting what information you accept in the tornado of thoughts that were served.
Yeah, it's bringing up the NBA is funny because I have not watched Shaq and those guys.
No,
in
I don't
years.
know. Yeah, it's
I
over
just
for me.
won't do it. I banned them.
Yeah.
I respect who they are as players, whatever. They built this incredible post-career career that people
I don't get the jokes anymore because I don't watch.
People seem to really enjoy. I did maybe for a period of my youth, and then I moved on from it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same way a few years ago. I'd watch a lot of basketball, as I said, with the volume off.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just play some music and throw the game on. I'm like, I don't need to hear the announcing because I don't really care. Granted, if it is a important game, you want the atmosphere where you hear the crowd and you hear Breen on the
is
call.
A joy. Yeah,
Those guys
are
great.
RJ, I like Doris. Yeah.
But dude, I will not listen to the Sixers announcers. Allah, great and merciful.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to your broadcast. I'll go onto League Pass and find the alternate options and hope these guys in Detroit are okay because I am not listening to the Sixers broadcast. It's been banned. That's what I'm saying.
And speaking of banning, especially in real life, I have been banned by some people that I know. That makes me sad. Like there's some people I know be like, oh, I had to block you because you were talking too much basketball. You maybe drank too much, so we stopped hanging out that way. Your hours were too late, so I couldn't really coincide and couldn't really keep that friendship going as a continuation of our friendship conversation last pod. But this was way before I had kids. People being like, "You're too into basketball." I think it's lame, so I don't want to hear about it. So I've blocked you on all social media, and I'm like, "Oh, that hurts."
I've tried to ban you so many times, I just can't quit you, buddy.
I mean, hey, if you left Twitter, I might leave Twitter, right? Because I follow Twitter for 3 people, less and less these days.
Elon Musk.
But have you ever been brain dead? Like, have you ever been the victim of someone else's brain day?
You mean like I'm being dragged into their day of enlightenment?
No, or quite the opposite, being like, Ben just wants to have regal NBA takes, and I'm not thinking about the NBA today.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure too. I'm positive this has happened.
That would have certainly occurred at some point.
Yeah. I mean, it's different than selecting friendship, right? Because I have friends who enjoy smoking weed, and I don't hang out with them because I don't smoke weed. That's different. I'm not talking about that. But I have certainly talked to people who are like, you pollute my days someday when you tweet about the trade deadline. I'm like, totally. I shitpost about tertiary thoughts and players that I have about a transaction that the 3 of my friends care about on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, look, as much as I love hearing your opinions, there's definitely times when I open up Twitter, I'm like, what the hell is Quo up to again? What has Quo been doing here at 6 a.m. in the morning? What is he opining about? I'm like, you know what? I need a brain day before I get into this.
And it's like, as as a dad guy now, there's some of my friends who are like, I don't want to hear about dad stuff. Me and my buddy Hua were having lunch the other day, and we were just talking about dad stuff, how to be good dads, whatever. Very meaningful brain day stuff for me. Enlightening. I cherish these moments with my friends, right? And then someone pulls up to Hua, who's kind of a celebrity, and like, oh my God, I love what you do. I love your book. What are you guys talking about? I've watched you guys for 2 hours, just intense. And we're like, parenting, how to be a good parent. They're like, oh, that's boring. I'm like, we are boring. We are boring people, but we're trying to be good.
Yeah, I would have.
No,
No, no,
that's
come
not
on,
for
come on.
you.
Tell me,
I
tell
know
me,
that's
tell
not
me
for
you're,
you.
tell me you're giving something different about. Come on, something Asian, perhaps. Something. Come on, come on. Give me
Yeah.
something I can learn from, Andrew.
I mean, if we did an hour of current events, New York City stuff, and then an hour of dad stuff, dude, the takes would be perfect.
We were talking about this a little before the pod, and I know you're going to try to shoehorn parenting in there
It's always in there.
about like the New York City checklist. Like, what are the
No,
things that you
I've
need
been
to
working
do to
on.
really understand the city?
I've been working
And
on. Right.
I know you've been working on this. This is a labor of love for you that
Brain
coincidentally
day.
coincides with everything
Brain
with
day.
everything that you do seems to be on this checklist.
Well, no, not really, because I'm going to give you the checklist. And I started thinking about this when everyone started arguing about Mandani, right? So he's a socialist. He's not a socialist. How would he know about what's good for us? We don't agree with his religion. And I'm like, what does a good New York City look like, right? And the first example is something I don't know about. Is like, I don't think you experience New York City in full unless you have a car, because I don't know about the cost it is to have this. I don't know how it feels to travel around the city in this car. I don't know where to park this car. Rules, right? That world is totally absent from me. Maybe being a drug addict, maybe being getting fired. I have not been a drug addict or been fired from a job. But to understand the survival instincts it takes in New York City to exist in that way is a deep understanding of New York in a way that a skater looks at stairs differently than people who walk up them, right? And the other ones are me relevant, like having a kid, using the bus, like starting a small business, renting a commercial space, being an after hours drunk warrior, right? Like the city reveals itself in different ways when you search out certain corners of it.
I'm trying to think what someone would say who did not walk in your shoes or similarly sized shoes such as my own. It's like, okay, move down there, trust fund, got a job, lived in the West Village. It's like you've never really understood this city unless you've waited in line at Brandy Melville. Now you get what it's like. A sample sale for Telfar. Now that's an experience that
Shout out to Telfar
New
and that
Yorkers
group. Yeah, I love them.
only understand.
But it's not like this gatekeeping kind of like when we argue. It is, but when we argue about Mamdani's like socialist words, right? I'm like, he's not that socialist. He may identify, but like the things he's proposing are basic stuff. But until you're hungry, you don't really understand the needs of food, right? It's like you don't really understand music until you learn how to play a song, and it kind of unfolds onto you. And I was thinking about this today. I just watched a Brad Leone TikTok or interview on YouTube, maybe, of that chef Live for Pasta on, uh, I believe, TikTok. And she does a cooking channel, which is kind of like fetishized. It's like a kink a little bit. She's angry. She chops stuff. And they were talking about moving out of New York, and he famously moved out of New York City after being a celebrity at the Bon Appetit test kitchen scene. And they were like, "It's too hard. It's gross there. It's stressful. Everyone's miserable." And I'm like, "I'm not miserable. You should talk to me. I'm happy here." And on one hand, New York City is a self-policing society, like every place is. You figure out people who wants to be here or not. New York City is certainly not a bad place to live. But also, I get it. More brain days, more cleansing. But they're very online people, so that was kind of ironic. Um, but to understand this place, and they do because they've tried to be business people here. It's like I don't want to hear about free buses until someone's ridden the bus and realizes how tense it can get when it's free.
But also, there are people. This isn't even a Mondami conversation specifically, but with him as an example of people who are like, I don't like this. I'm like, do you make over $1 million a year? No. Do you ride the buses? No.
Right.
Like, do you live in a rent-controlled apartment? No. Do you, whatever the third pillar is of his
Whatever.
thing.
Yeah.
Does that apply to you? Well, none of them apply to me. Is he going to tax you more? Not that either.
Yeah.
But you just don't like the vibes?
Yeah.
I'm like, fair enough, whatever people's politics are, but it's like, I don't know, I just think the idea that people would leave the city because of a mayor is funny, and this not
It's
to get
not
away
real. It's a
brain days.
stuff. Yeah.
This is like the comment that everyone has on any Instagram clip that shows something happening in a city that's negative, right? Oh, there's an argument on the train. Like, that's what happens when you live in a Democrat city. It's just this whole refrain. I'm glad I don't live in that shithole. And it's like this idea that New York is a fetid, uninhabitable swamp that also annually is named like the most livable, or the people are the happiest, or the number one city. I'm just like,
Just
right,
visit.
sure,
It's amazing.
whatever.
Yeah, it's
also,
amazing.
like,
Yeah.
whatever you guys think, cool.
Yeah. I have close relatives of mine that can't hack it anymore, right? They're just like, they're tired. I want something modern. I want to live in Asia where it seems like the future, but it's just the present. And like, but this thought of mine or this thought of ours kind of expands beyond New York City a bit. Like, I don't really understand the plight of the WNBA or healthcare or childcare. So I'm not a woman, and I can pontificate and try to empathize, but like, I don't know what it feels like to be an American until like I have to deal with all these things. And, of course I have singular attributes, everyone does, and that makes us experience this. But like, I think of like a more perfect country, a more perfect city, a more perfect chat square, and like, it's not a consensus ever. It cannot be a consensus, and Twitter's turning into a place of consensus. And yes, go. You got
Well,
something to color this.
Well, I'm thinking about this idea of consensus, and when you try to come up with a checklist, that's what you're going to end up with, right? Like,
Yeah, of
okay,
course. Yeah,
just naturally. All right, the consensus is you got to go to Peter Luger's. It just ends up being this. Like, what are our universal life events, and what are the iconic places of New York City?
yeah.
It's like oh, sitting courtside at a Knicks playoff game. Like, all
Cats
right,
is-
sure.
But it's like the consensus. What I'm talking about, it could be like, there should be no billionaires, and I'm like, okay, but what about Michael Jordan and LeBron James? It's like, well, except them because I love what they do. It's just like, and they did it the right way. I'm like, so no consensus here. There shouldn't be certain billionaires. Like the way Elon Musk builds wealth is problematic. The way LeBron James built wealth, not problematic. He just exceeded $1 billion.
I feel like the average person who's on the billionaires shouldn't exist thing, you're only allowed to make the exception for LeBron. That's fine.
Well, Michael Jordan, he did it. He lost money on the craps table. Like he's running.
No, just LeBron. Just LeBron. He should be the one billionaire, the king.
The can I think Jordan's a top 10 player for sure, but I think he earned it fair and square, man. 50 Cent earned his money, man.
Dude, it's just a cap. Okay, you just can't hit that $1 billion mark. That's it. Then you make him not exist. You're close, just not quite a billionaire.
So it's an open capitalist market until you get to a number, and then we turn socialist. I mean, that works. I don't care.
Yeah, look, if you try to inflict this upon me, I'm moving to Tampa.
Oh my gosh, well.
My relationship with New York City, it's cool, but I only want to be here if I can keep every cent of it. If not, I'm going to be in like Daytona
Yeah.
because my life will be just the same down there, and I'll even have more money. So like,
Next New York
tax
City?
me,
Yeah.
tax me at your own peril, Mister Quo.
I want to check out Chat Square in Fort Lauderdale. That's what I want to do. Um, but you know what I mean? It's like as we debate mayoral stuff, which I love, and November is far away but approaching. Oh, just Eric Adams, just having Eric Adams here being like, "Ooh, there's too many rats," and I'm like, "But you live in Bed-Stuy, so yeah, there's rats there, but like,
You know
I
where
guess
has no rats? Sarasota Hell Square,
that's right." Well, as far as we
rat
know,
free.
yeah, except the Sarasota police.
So they say.
Yeah, that's right. Scorsese, get on this. I think that the experience of living in a place, maybe even a virtual place like Rhea, which we're going to get into later with Clay Thompson and Megan D. Stallion, but online, it's like the concerns, when people say like, all when we take brain days and people are like, well, you got to get off Twitter because it's a cesspool. And I agree with that. But then what if the Twitter user is just looking for jokes, like, or pictures, like, I, I don't know, like read a book. It's like, what about Mein Kampf? It's like, not that book, it's,
Which book?
yeah, it's just like,
Any book. Pick one
make,
up. It's fine.
there's no violence on the subway. It's just like, well, until you're disabled or not a man, sure. Who is this coming from when they're saying like, I agree, the subway statistics show us per capita, it's like a pretty safe place. But someone being Asian like myself might be like, I'm a little shook on there. I'm not. But what if I said that? I'm like, right. Can you experience America fully being not a minority? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can't. I mean, that's like one of the classic conundrums of philosophy, right? Like, how do you experience what it's like to be something outside of yourself?
Right. So how can we talk about
it has
more?
to be
Yeah.
it has to be from their perspective. Like you can't do it.
Yeah. How do you make a more perfect place? And we always joke about, you don't have to 360 dunk a basketball to talk about basketball. That's not how that works. So I'm not saying you have
disagree.
to be. You don't have to be a 5'5" Asian man to really experience Chat Square. But I'm
it helps.
aware it helps in Chat Square, but also being a 6'2" white guy in Chat Square maybe reveals itself in different ways. I just don't think we can talk about like New York City in these like bow ties and wrapped up packages.
The car point is interesting because I feel like a bicycle, you could do the same thing if you're really
Absolutely.
active on it. But just opening up new neighborhoods, and again with the Zoran thing, him saying that his favorite restaurant in New York City was Abu Kir. I'm like, of course it is, because you're kind of New York Nico-fied as a presence, but you're also right about that, and you're a Queens guy, and Abu Kir is fire. And I don't know if you know what the restaurant is, but there's a couple out there. There's Abu Kir and at least two others. They're Egyptian seafood spots in Astoria where you point things out and you pick them. And it's like, all right, I'll take a half pound of scallops. I'll take one of these
Two
fish.
money bags over here. No wonder you hate Mamdani. Have a pound
Not
of
my-
scallops. Damn.
You know
lunch.
Mandami, famously not my guy, Mandami. But yeah, you pick stuff out and they cook them to your specifications or dealer's choice. But yeah, they're really cool.
I
Astoria
love it.
seafood,
Yeah.
Astoria seafood, also the same kind of thing, but just not Egyptian. But it's like, yeah, if you ask Andrew Cuomo, who hasn't lived here, he'd be like, La Bernardine, or like
Yeah, yeah.
Katz's Deli. It's like,
Rayo.
right. You're just giving us fraud shit.
Right.
Like, it doesn't work.
Right.
Like that, and that's part of what Zoran's charm is that he rewards that, like, I think I know the city. I think I understand this place. And then you're like, well, it's being reflected by this guy. Great.
Yeah, and it kind of aligns with your brain day thing because like it's how you use it, right? How do you use your minutes? How do you use your hours? How do you use math? It's like, oh, I don't like math in politics or sports. It's like, well, if you don't use it, then you're not gonna like it. It's like if you don't go to Queen's restaurants, you're gonna be like, no, the real food is Rayo's or Katz's or number one taco, you know? And
Per se.
yeah, you know, and no one says you're wrong. It's like you're not wrong to go to 11 Madison. That's a beautiful, beautiful restaurant. But like, if you don't use New York City, it's hard to talk about New York City. And as soon as I realized that, I realized how much of it I don't use, you know, like even just in my life.
I mean, this is specifically about food, but you could apply it to other stuff. I saw a little discussion. And I think these were mostly Caribbean people talking about it, just from the perspective of that kind of food. And they're like, yeah, like gentrified Brooklyn is ass. The real food is Queens
I
and the
saw this
Bronx.
post. Yo,
And I was
that
like, I
is
like that. I'm like, I like the take. I like the take.
it is my first reaction to that post was this is great use of social media. This is how it's supposed to be used because not only are you declaring something that can be discussed and argued, you're sunning people because you're like, I'm real because I don't have as much money as you. I am authentic. You're not authentic. I'm like, oh, I miss this indie sleaze era of social media, you know?
It's
But
like,
then I got
oh, Andrew, you like going to Sailor, the expensive and tough to get into, delicious restaurant in your neighborhood? Well, it's ass.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's great. And then I read the comments, and he went on to
Yeah,
go.
it's great. It's great because you're a huge fake.
No, he's a Dominican, or he was a fan of like Dominican food and Jamaican food and stuff I live around. But I'm like, yo, where's the mapo tofu Rex? You know, like name your five top Szechuan noodle soups. You know,
Take
and
a look into that mirror. Gaze into the chili oil, sir.
right, and this
Tell
is
me
the
what you see.
we talked gaze into that mapo mirror, and we talked about this when the New York Times put out their 100. Priya is Indian, and she was like, I believe this Indian restaurant, Sema, is the number one restaurant in New York. Assume what you want, but it's the most delicious. And I'm like, yes, that's what we should be doing more of because I may disagree, even though Szechuan Mountain House did make the top 10. Uh, I thought that was a great use of that platform.
There's also something about the relative inaccessibility of places in Queens or the Bronx that make that take so delicious, no pun intended.
You
Where
got
it's
the
like,
cookies whip. You're on their way.
I mean, I'm out there.
I
I'm
know
touching
you're out.
grass. I'm out there. I'm out there touching lemongrass, man. I'm there.
Oh
I'm
my
there.
god.
I'm in Woodside.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
But for the average person that you're saying that to, who does live in gentrified Brooklyn, like, well, they really got me over a barrel on this one. Yeah, I've been out there. The food is good, but I go like once every 6 months. I don't know what's happening out there.
It's pretty tight. I was shamed by a Chinese person yesterday being like, have you been to the new Flushing Mall? I'm like, I have not. And they're like, and you call yourself Chinese.
Have you
Shame.
even
Real shame.
have you even peered into a Mapo mirror ever?
No, no. I've been trying to recreate restaurant style food at my house with a gas burner and like a wok, so you can't get the BTUs. But I am proud to say I figured it out, and it is sounds scary, but it's not. It's just a little bit of sugar and a lot more MSG than you think.
And this is for Mapo.
Everything, everything. I've been like
Oh,
velveting proteins and like trying to, because I don't know. I miss Chinatown with all my heart. I used to live there for 25 years, and I don't anymore. So I really crave that flavor. It's just a ton of MSG and sugar, man. Holy smokes!
one thing that holds me back from being as authentic of a Chinese food home cook is that a lot of stuff is deep fried.
This is true.
Do you dabble in the deep fryer?
I'm not quite like a Cantonese guy, so I don't care for crispy textures. I'm a mapo dude, but
You don't want those crispy fish tiles?
fucking delicious, fucking
So,
scrumptious, dude,
it's so delicious.
scrumptious, right? But I can't do it at home. I've taken the walk outside, as you know, so I'll shallow fry stuff. But it is the description is built into the name. It's just not as good. You seem very perplexed if people can't see you on camera. Did you close your window and get schmutz on your hand?
I did that. I also realized that the music was coming from within my own home. It just randomly started up.
Oh, so you were like, I cannot possibly listen to RX Poppy blaring from the street, and you realized it was from your own device.
The call was coming from in the house.
The RX call was coming from inside the house. Yeah, I don't want to talk about 90s hip hop, but do you know anybody who went to the Wu-Tang concert at MSG that isn't named Zoran Mandami?
I was about to say I know Ben Solomon went because I saw the photo of him and Zoran Mandami.
And it hurts me because I love Ben and I love his work and I love Iraq. But man, that was an old head convention. Sheesh.
Have I told my Wu Tang concert story before?
Quickly. I don't want to talk too much fat beat stuff here.
No. Yes, it's pretty decent. I was covering a Wu Tang reunion show for Scratch Magazine in New Jersey.
What era
So you go
reunion?
out-
Which reunion?
Scratch Magazine era, whenever that would be.
1998. 2005.
Probably 2009, whatever, something like that. 2010, I don't know, something like that. And Scratch was a music magazine that focused on the
Oh, I
production
thought it was a
side. So
cat fancy magazine. Okay, go on.
I don't know why I was at that because that was not specifically production based at all. But whatever, they assigned it to me. I'm out there with a photographer, and You God, I believe, is the second performer. I think maybe Master Killer went first.
Oh.
It was basically in
not
the
the
hierarchy
headliner.
of
Yeah.
it was the hierarchy of Wu. Like you got to wait a while to get to some Method Man, and
Yeah.
they would go out and do a couple solo songs, and then the whole Wu would amass like Voltron and do the hits together.
Beautiful.
But You God raps second, and he comes out and he maybe song 2 falls off the stage.
Oh no.
He's hidden in the pit. You can't hear him. The instrumental's just going along without him. And then he starts sort of weakly rapping along from the pit where he's fallen, and then he gets helped back on stage. And
Was it
continues.
during Triumph? Because his verse is very good in Triumph.
No, it was like You God solo material. It was only him on stage.
know.
He was the only one. It was
Oh my
his
gosh.
moment to
holy
shine.
cow. So he
And-
fell off the stage as the only
Yeah.
Woo, right.
Only person out there. Second act of the night, if I remember correctly. And then this woman next to me was like, "Hey, you're not going to write about that, are you?" And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, I'm his agent or manager."
This is her job.
And I was like, okay, but I may write about that, which I did write about that. And she hands me a card and is like, "All right, well, look, if there's anything you need, just call me." And it's like a GeoCities /YouGod was the website.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez. Right. Hey, that was the era, right?
That was the era. So that was also, though, the night that Old Dirty passed away. He didn't show up to that show, and then we found out later that because he had died.
That is crazy. Seismic. Right. Is this the real Wu-Tang ever? Because I would argue he is the most lovable, most popular member of that group. No longer with us. I think his kid is like an adult now. Obviously, his kid has to be an adult now, which is crazy. A rapper
He
or
has-
baller? Hate to pitch
Rapper,
him,
maybe,
but I
but
think
he
he's
has a
one
few-
of those. Yeah.
He has a few kids. I don't know the exact number, but I remember like a day after that, when I found out that he had died, I was on Franklin Avenue in Crown Heights, and this guy walks up by me, and I was like, he's like, "You heard about Old Dirty?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's my dad." I was like, "Okay."
What? Really? Did you talk
Yeah.
to him?
Just for a second, I was like, "Sorry
What?
about
Wait. First of all, why did he roll up to you? Were you wearing
don't
a
know.
full Wu-Tang kit? Were you?
I was
out in
standing.
Wu-Tang.
I was in a corner store, and the guy was in line next to me. Maybe he was killing time and just wanted to tell somebody that Old Dirty Bastard was his dad. I don't know.
Yo, that vintage Wu wear, so hard. I saw somebody in a mesh football Wu wear jersey. Extremely hard, dude. It looks good. Hockey
Are you-
jerseys.
Are you wearing Wu wear right now?
Oh, this whole pod is about me. You can't really see the W logo below my collar, but yeah, I'm decked.
Are you really a New Yorker if you haven't experienced the garment renaissance?
Are you really a New Yorker if you have not been to a Wu Tang concert and witnessed some canoodling with some CEOs, some some old play cheaters?
That would have been sick if it was the Wu Tang show and not Coldplay.
I'm saying, I mean, how are people getting this much joy out of Coldplay? I'm just like, oh, zinging it to like a really kind of nice older rock and roll band. Like they were at the Coldplay show. I'm like, of course they were at the Coldplay shows. And them or you too. A nice
I
band.
mean, during the middle of flying daggers.
You picked Flying Daggers. Thought you were gonna go Cream. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, you're a Wu Tang fan.
I feel like that was one of their songs. I'm pretty sure it was a song.
I don't know, Gravel Pit.
Flying daggers. I think it's a Wu Tang song.
I mean, it it should be if it's not. What does Google say?
House of Flying Daggers, produced by Jay Dilla, featuring it was a Raekwon song. Yeah, yeah, Flying Daggers.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, my marriage fell apart during Inspected Deck's verse.
Yo, you God fell off the stage and so did my heart. My wife's heart. I mean, I'm psyched. My wife.
You know, it was not a genius move.
You know, that day a bastard died, and also my son lost a father.
The so this Coldplay story, I think it successfully brings together the most mockable vectors of society, other than like Italians.
Hey, yo, easy because
It has
Coldplay is
everything.
a nice band. Coldplay
But it
is
has everything in there. Everything in the story is socially acceptable to make fun of, except there aren't any Italian ex people in it.
okay. We got the CEOs for Astronaut, which is like a company that helps other companies out with workflow. They could just call
Oh,
Cookies Hoops and talk about brain days forever. We should start a company called Astronaut Number Two.
more astronauts.
Even more astronauts, man. Cool Keith style. And then the woman, I believe, is his HR person at the job. And the third person that was associated with them was maybe someone who works below the HR person. I forget, she's much younger. And then you bring in people who have doxed the CEO's family and pictures of his wife and his family, kids, not taking the bus in a very nice apartment, cooking a very beautiful meal. And to your point, this is like some rarefied air that I don't understand except for Coldplay.
I saw someone speculating that the younger employee was there as like part of a potential threesome. I'm like, I think you're overreading that.
Oh,
That strikes me as she's there to make this whole thing allowable.
she loves Coldplay. She grew up on La Vida, whatever, La Vida Coldplay. I
It's
love
like,
the
we're going
song
to bring
Yellow.
this employee that's 30 years younger than us to try to get the three screw going. I'm like, she's like the one who's for plausible deniability.
Well, in order to win on that CEO level, you got to have a big three. Can't be a big two.
Yeah,
The third is arbitrary.
he's got three. He's got his wife and he's got the HR lady.
Cam Thomas could be a three, whatever. Just pick three. But
Does this become a national scandal if they don't react the way they do? No,
no,
right?
no. If they just held on, nothing, right? And also the deliciousness of CEO culture. People are also perverts, so Trump can do anything he wants to do to cover up the Epstein thing, but everyone's just kind of too pervy to forget. Like he can
Also
make
strange that the CEO like resigned or was like let go from the company.
I
I feel
would.
like
If I was a
well,
board member, I'd be like, "You gotta go. This is embarrassing. Not because you committed adultery, but like this is terrible, terrible publicity. Your job as a CEO person is to not give us terrible, terrible publicity."
true, but we all know what Astronaut does now, and they are the best at managing workflow, in my
Aside,
opinion.
aside from cookie soups, right? It's like first you get a DJ in your office. You make it feel like the employees are at home, so they never leave. That'll be $4 million, please.
All right, we got some ideas. Beanbag chair, snacks,
Wow, wow.
a
Chess.
ever replenishing basin of mapo tofu, for example.
Send your best worker to the temples of Shaolin and have him frolic with monks. Playing chess ain't working. Oh, I'm at the Wu
I
Tang
mean,
concert.
the funny thing is, I mean, I do have some sympathy for the CEO, except for the fact that it's a CEO. You're like,
Right,
whatever, man.
right. Like, we root.
Look, okay, like you don't need to be like you went, like you went to a Coldplay show with your little work wife, and now you're just like a
Your
national
little white
laughing
wife.
stock.
She
But
makes
like,
like $1 million a year. Like,
but no, but I mean, it is wild. Like you were, imagine just like, yeah, I went to a Coldplay show, and now I am a laughing stock of the world, and my family fell apart, and I lost my job. I doubt that'll happen tonight. All right, play Yellow.
I mean, it's funny when we decide to side with management and when we don't. We always side with management, and we'll get into the WNBA t-shirts in a second, but like, it's like, oh, they're not making money. How NBA contracts can't be this big. Like, James Dolan needs to make his money. Like, what the hell are we doing? Like, don't tax the rich, Mondani. I'm like, what? Are you rich? Because if you are, who cares about 20 grand? I say that as someone who doesn't have that kind of money, right? And and then all of a sudden when it comes to brain days the other way, we're just like, let's give this old CEO some space. Is he not human? Is he not just one of us?
Wouldn't you like the buses to be fast and free?
Just make them free for everybody. It'll make it more usable for New York until you ride the bus and you're like, oh shit, it's lit in here, man.
Although, when people are, yeah, that doesn't really do anything for me. Like, oh, why not? What? How come? How come you don't ride the bus? It's like, well, I'm too good for it. Oh, okay. So you don't think he should make it faster or freer for the people who do take it,
Yeah.
who are your, who you are who you are better than? Like, yeah, I don't think so. I think those people who can't not take the bus, I think they should probably pay for it, and it should be slow.
This is the trap MAGA fell for, right? Like Trump being like, hey, if you're not rich and you don't get these tax breaks, maybe you're not working hard enough. And people who aren't rich are like, mm-hmm, I understand this. I'm going to be as rich as Trump. I'm like, you're 45 years old and you work at a good company and you have a 401k, but you're not going to be a billionaire. You're not going to get $2 billion from the Saudis.
Well, look, you never know where things will take you if you just grab yourself by your bootstraps and lift yourself up.
And I'm better than you, so I'm going to have a better future than you.
Like,
Well,
I know you're in middle management at, like, you know, a oil changing chain in Jacksonville. But what if you started a hedge fund?
right. What if you got busted for sleeping around the office at Astronaut Inc? It's
Now,
like,
let me just take a second here to. I want to talk about Astronaut and how they have really perfected workflow. And a lot of times, you know, yeah, it's fun and games here on Cookies Hoops, but we don't talk enough about the great job that Astronaut does in terms of workflow process.
talk about brain days. Sometimes I wonder if I had spent all that energy instead of piecing together fan fiction for the 2014-15 New York Knicks, which I spent hours doing at the time. If I had just taken a small interest in crypto or being a filthy middleman and be like, you know what your company needs? workflow advice. I've made some charts. This is how we do it. I bet you Cookie Soups could have bullshitted their way to $2 billion, like the
I
Saudi money.
I I agree. Also, it's called astronomer, not astronaut, but like that's pretty close.
I was had future on the brain. I don't care about these people, man. Like Murdoch versus Trump can kill each other, whatever.
They
Musk
work
versus
with they
Trump
work
kill each
with
other.
they work with some of your favorite companies like Autodesk or DataStax, also Black Crow and Vibrant Planet.
The Black Crows, Shake Your Moneymaker. Wait, Little Miss Moneymaker. That blues ass band. Damn,
I've
they
always
really like
known.
ours.
I've always known that the Black Crows had incredible workflow. You can tell by their stage show.
Those bell bottoms, those bluesy riffs, that workflow is insane. Astronomer, like talk about we always talk about the flattening of culture. I'm gonna start a workflow company called Astronomer and be worth billions of dollars. Like, god damn, come on now, give us some joy in our lives. Workflow. Put down your put down your Coldplay album and get into that flow.
Jealous again.
The Black Crows had a moment, man. I'm not trying to hate on Chris Robinson, but that band does not really survive the generation, the passing of generations, because the blues sucks.
I gotta say though, they did have the rocker look that has never gone out of style.
You mean like the Velvet Sundown look? That AI
Yeah, it's
band? Yeah.
it's very LA, but also
Exclusively.
dovetails a little bit with like the Strokes and some of that stuff. Like that rocker look.
Sure. Are you sure? Because we're talking about bell bottoms and Colangelo collars. We're not talking about dirty tees.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe in my mind, I'm thinking of the Black Crows and comparing them to like Steven Tyler, but that might be
Yeah.
that might not be the exact look that we're also talking about.
No. I agree. Like scarves.
Yeah, I think it
decorative-
comes down to a lot of rings and scarves is kind of the real key there.
Listen, if you go to a concert and you see a scarf tied to the mic stand, you're gonna get some blues licks, man. Oh, it's gonna be bluesy.
The scarf tied to the microphone is exactly the image in my mind. I'm like, yeah, that always works. The scarf on the microphone. That's classic.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna start doing that here.
Get ready for that blues scale on that Les Paul, that sunburst Les Paul, man. And it's a whole culture. And we haven't talked Oasis on here because I'm a little too obsessed, and I know your brain day about Oasis.
Do they have hot licks?
Arguable. They used to be sarcastic hot licks, but now in their reunion, in their late stages of their career, now they're kind of like more authentic or sincere hot licks, which make them not interesting anymore to me. I
What
used to
about
love them with a
scarves?
passion. No
Scarves?
scars, no scars, but they had so they're hooligans. So they're hooligan
True.
scarves, right? And they wear like the Gore-Tex rain gear stuff, like very the Face ID magazine,
Sure.
late '90s thing. So they are not. I was gonna say they're not doing heroin; they're smoking weed, but they're probably doing both.
Probably checks out.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the from Coldplay to Colbert? Do you want to talk about this? I don't really get what happened other than his show got canceled, but I guess it was because he was too woke.
It's kind of a normal thing that I read it as like I was surprised to hear it was canceled because I thought he was kind of a legacy entertainer on a legacy brand, The Late Show. But my first reaction is like, why do we put Letterman on this Jordan-esque pedestal? Like, he was funny. I liked Letterman quite a bit. I still watch his shows, his new shows on Netflix from time to time. Like, I'm a fan, but when you hear comedians talk about Letterman, it's like hearing Knicks fans talking about Marcus Camby. It's just like, he was the god. No one compares to him. And everybody who come after him has just made him greater. I'm like,
Did
Letterman.
people do that with Johnny Carson as well?
Yes, this is my point, right? Like, it feels like a generational Primal Scream. Not to make a Coldplay joke, but it feels like a war cry for a generation that's being phased out. And Colbert is nerdy. He is certainly considered woke by many. That word has many definitions, but sure, whatever. I know what you mean. Um, I'm surprised he was a hit because he's grating to me, and I love bad comedy. But he's very sharp and fast and rapid fire, and very Christian and very into Lord of the Rings and all the stuff like I don't care about. Um, and he's a nice man, like I don't care about this stuff in my comedians. So he gets fired, and if you're Megyn Kelly, you think it's because he's woke. If you're MAGA, you think it's because woke media, mismanagement of $100 million, losing $40 million a year. You explain it in all these ways, but it comes down to like his politics don't align with mine. But viewership and habits are changing, right? And so all these legacy brands have to adapt. And the Late Show doesn't seem to have adapted.
I got to be honest, I didn't really know what was on the air
You don't see his
necessarily.
clips every now and then?
Very rarely, in the way that if you told me it was
Like, which one is
him
Questlove
doing
on?
Jimmy Fallon.
I think so. Yeah. Les Aviv was Seth Meyers, who I believe was canceled too. I'm not sure. We don't need
I
late
don't
shows
know.
anymore. We don't need late shows anymore. Oh no,
Who's the
they
guy that you just watched? Who? Greg Gutman, the Goot Dog, isn't his name?
good like from Police Academy.
That was the guy Trump was like, yeah, Colbert, he was bad. Unlike my guy
Oh,
Greg Gutman or
he's
Gutterman or something.
he's the guy on Fox 5 who like leans back in his chair and he's just like, "What the fuck? These guys aren't real men." And the weird thing
He was
about
the
it,
guy who was like, they're calling us Nazis. We should call each other Nazis. Like, what's up, my Nazi? That guy.
yeah, yes, and the confusing part of him is he's well versed in like punk rock and like,
Is
well,
he really?
yeah, he's like, I think he used to be a punk, and of course the punks end up on Fox. That's what resistance looks like. They don't end up on the Colbert Show because that's what the establishment looks like. There's a reason why MAGA exists. Like, we can't all be Darth Vader or Obi-Wan Kenobi. You got to pick one and ride with it. But uh, he, yeah, it's even his show, Gutman show, is walking a fine line.
Gutfeld or
Gut-
Gutfeld, one of the two.
You mean Gutman at the Satellite Astronomer Workflow Company? Dude, I don't care about these people, right? I'm living a brain life where I'm trying not to think about CEOs at workflow companies and Gutman on Fox.
Well, yeah, this is the sacrifice we make for our dear listeners. We, instead of having brain days, we're here trying to remember who Greg Gutfeld is. And
Ask
you're like,
me
he was a
about
member of the Black Crows, and like, I didn't even know that.
ask me about the notorious NIP or the mayor of Niptown, and I can tell you some things.
The Big Nip.
Yeah. So wait, what's your Colbert take? This is extremely dull, boring stuff. Unless you have.
Well,
a
I didn't.
take.
I guess my take would be I didn't know he was on the air, so I'm not shocked that he was canceled because, like, who was he making that show for? I
Many
was
people.
mostly. I was shocked by like.
Yeah.
I was shocked by like the $100 million budget. Like, whoa.
Okay, that is interesting, right? Because obviously some mismanagement here and there. Get Doge on that stat, but good comedy writers are expensive. Talent is expensive, and it could quickly get to a price that you don't like. Which
I
leads
get
us
it, but I
to
mean, we
WNBA.
do our show for half of that.
Listen, if you see me at a Wu-Tang concert with my HR person, don't don't get me on camera. Is all I'm saying.
Just rap along to House of the Flying Daggers.
Yeah.
Pretend everything's cool.
If I let the interns out of the cage, we could form the big three. I just don't want to talk about it. Oh, the gravel pit is on. Here we go.
Speaking of real hip hop, Dame Lillard, the king of NBA real rap, the only one who has actual bars. Like, he's in the cipher. He's back in the cipher.
Shout out to Miles Bridges. No shout out to Miles Bridges, but he's got bars too.
Yeah, I left. He does have bars. I don't know if we shout out to him though.
We can't shout him out, but he has bars.
He has bars, and maybe he should be behind bars. I think we're good now. I think that got us out
Okay.
that little gravel pit that you set for us.
Damn, man. Me, Fred.
I think we're fine now.
Yeah.
All right, back to Dame Lillard. He has returned to Portland. How incredible! How charming! This, Andrew. What do you think about this fairy tale ending to Dame's career?
Don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck that he's back in Portland. Shout out to a good player historically in the NBA. I don't think he should have been top. What is he? Top 75? Top 50? But Lillard shot daggers. He has some of the most memorable shots in our recent memory. And I love the narrative of like, it warms my heart. You know, when people are online being like, this is how it should be. I'm like, yes, I agree. Julius Randle contract extension warms my heart. Dame Lillard back in Portland, man, they're even trying to yank Portland out, the Blazers out of Portland. So like, him going back is a bit of a soft look.
On one hand, I get it, right? Where when he was traded to Milwaukee, it felt as if he had kind of been pushed into doing that without.
They did him
maybe
dirty.
Maybe he wanted to go to Miami, but maybe he didn't really want to leave at all. And he had been doing that little dance of maybe I'll go to try to get the team to acquiesce more to his demands, or just
I need to be around people who want to win as much as me.
Exactly. Or just basically, I mean, this is what Giannis does in Milwaukee all the time. So it's funny that they ended up being teammates. This thing of like,
It was awesome.
I don't know, guys. It doesn't feel like I can win here, but I want to win here, but maybe you just don't want to win as much as me. And it's like, okay, we'll spend a little more money and we'll take your opinions into account, or whatever it could be. We'll reassure you that we want to win as much as you do, and then we can continue on this lifelong romance between a player and an organization. I don't have a problem with any of that, however it goes, right? But him immediately going back is pretty funny.
Is it ceremonial? Because he's going to be 37, and a lot of people, or some people I read, were like, oh my God, he's going to be the finishing touch on the championship team. I'm like, dude, he's cooked. He's done. Is this just like signing a one-day contract and being like, I'm a Blazer again? Okay, that was a great career. And we've made up. We've kissed and made up. We're at the Coldplay concert. I don't know if that works. But, we patched things up, and now I get to retire my jersey in the rafters.
I couldn't tell you what Dame thinks, because athletes are crazy. And if you ask Dame, he's like, well, yeah, I'm going to be an all-star when I get back. I'm going to play 35 minutes a game. And
He was good last year.
He was good last year. He was good the year before. He's always good.
Good.
So in his mind, I don't think he's thinking, I'm going to come back a broken husk of the player I once was. I'm probably Kemba Walker-ish.
Yeah.
Play 22 minutes a game, complete liability on defense. My jumper will probably never be the same. And, I'm there kind of as a source of guidance for Scoot, who is the future of the franchise. Mm-hmm. You think that's what Dame thinks?
No. I think he's going to be like, I'm finally going to win a chip with this guy Kamara, who I love, It's like they got Yang, chip time, Steve Francis, Yao Ming. Let's go.
Right. He looks at it as, okay, so we're rebuilding, retooling without me. When I get back, all right, we got Chinese Jokic, the big tariff. Mm-hmm. We got Denny, who's become a very good player.
Star Trek-esque Klingon.
We've got Kamara, however you say his name.
Big fan.
Like that, Thibault, maybe he'll be there, maybe he won't. But still, you look at it and you say, okay, we've got some wings, we've got some players. Jeremy Grant will be getting off of that contract that I tricked the team into giving him.
Maybe.
Great.
Yeah. Yep. I like that
Maybe.
team build. Oh, I don't like that team build, but there's pieces there that I think would give Lillard optimism. Um,
The holiday thing now seems kind of funny when you do the Lillard thing. Like,
I don't know
wait a
what they're
minute.
doing there. I don't know
You
what they're
just
doing.
took Drew Holiday, who makes $40 million a year, or whatever it is, off of Boston's hands, doing them a solid as a
Weird. Weird.
veteran consigliere to your young guards. And then you're going to also have Dame Lillard returning. You're going to have a pair of 36-year-old, 37-year-old, 38-year-old guards. Who do you think you are, the Sixers?
And the ownership, I think, is up in the air there with Portland. I believe the estate is moving forward in flipping the team, and Silver was very loud in saying like Portland has had a great run with the Blazers, and he hopes they stay there, but there's no guarantee. So there's a bit of uncertainty going on in that part of the NBA world. Um, Dame going back, I think is like, I think every player should be self-serving. I think he and Drew Holiday's heart maybe still resides in that wonderful city of Portland. I love that place. But the team build is weird, and Lillard's hubris has always been a source of delight for me, us. And when it comes to fruition, it's even better. Like he's been quite the character and entertainer, and I'm grateful for him. But this seems ceremonial, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what he'll look like when he gets back. I don't believe
Not
he'll
good. Yeah, we kind of
even
know
necessarily
he's not going to look good.
even necessarily suit up next year. There's just
Or the
no
year
track
after.
record
Yeah,
of a guy in their mid 30s suffering
late
an
30s.
Achilles injury
Yeah.
and returning and being able to play successfully. I mean, there's just like none.
Already being the worst defender on the court in any game, even over
Yeah.
Luka.
I mean, like I don't have an issue with a player wanting to come back and retire in the city where he spent most of his career. I just don't know that a 3-year deal makes a whole lot of sense. You could have said, "Why don't we give you?"
One. Every year, resign with us.
I mean, him coming back there to just rehab for a year is kind of adorable. Like, yeah, we'll pay you to do that. Why? I don't know. You're Dame. We'll pay you $10 million to not play for us this year. That seems cool.
He brings some juice into the room. You know, it's not only the buckets he gets, but I think feeling whole again is a great idea, and I think it's worth it for a lot of fans to have him back because that was hurtful. Like Luca should eventually go back to Dallas. You know, like I think that is a worthwhile thing. Um, that said, it kind of suspends our present. And Dame back in Portland to me is like not being a Portland fan, but like I don't think Dante should really come back to the Knicks. You know, like however much I want that, I think moving forward as a fan makes me happier.
And it also could be something, not specifically Portland. Maybe it could be smaller markets. I don't know. I'm just theorizing. But that idea of like you do have to balance these ideas. Like what can keep your fans really excited? And it's like
100%.
if you asked Portland fans, do you want us to bring Dame back? They would probably say
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
100% yes. We
Yes.
love Dame. That's our guy. That's our dude. Okay, we're trying to sell tickets here. We're trying to make people watch the games. We're trying to make people buy the merch. And if Dame furthers that, even if it doesn't really make sense from pushing us to the next level as a basketball team, it's worth it to pay him to sit around for a year and be on the bench, and our fans see Dame at the game and know that Dame's going to come back and play here again. Like, it's worth it when you balance, like, well, what's our cap sheet going to look like? Which young players need to be getting playing time in the backcourt? And then you're like, we're in Portland. This is a small market. It's being jeopardized with, as you said, with ownership issues, potentially moving. I don't think that'll happen. Put
Yeah.
Dame back here, that makes it a lot tougher.
Yeah. And like, I hate to sound cynical, but I do have some cynicism regarding this because I think like a band like Coldplay finds its middle, and then it gets the CEOs to the concert. Not the soccer hooligans. Oasis finds its middle and gets the CEOs to come, and I always have to remember this is either less about art and less about winning than it is profitability. And when we talk about sales of teams like the Blazers and the moving of teams like the Blazers and Supersonics, we have to discuss the business aspect of the Colbert Show. Maybe not achieving the number you thought they would. Um, and this move is smart in that regard because they're appealing to the CEO who doesn't want new music. They want music that's fun, that they can canoodle around with their HR person with. Not necessarily like create new ideas. And brand and company like the Portland Trailblazers reinvesting in Dame is kind of a no-brainer. I'm surprised Dame agreed to it because I thought he was all about winning.
He saw those summer league clips of young handsome.
They were great.
He knows.
I love it.
He knows where this league is headed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, build around Yang. Yang Tang clan. I think Lillard is such a fun piece in this NBA puzzle because he gives us all the words that a Brunson would, a real hip hop dude would. Wemby is kind of on that plane, but really doesn't follow through in his actions. And for me, it is a classic 2025 politician or classic 2025 Twitter person who's like, I think this way until it's beneficial for me to think that way. Because for Dame, for example, he was like, I'm loyal. You guys run from the grind. I don't. Okay, I'm running from the grind. It's like, okay, I'm away from the grind, and now I'm finally happy with Giannis. I've never been on a team like this. Look at this. Oh, it's Dame time for real. And then he's like, I'll go back to Portland, a team that I didn't want.
I'm so loyal, as I always told you it was.
It's fun, right? Like, this is fun, but I always say, and this is the cynicism, I don't believe what anyone says and do because I think human beings are allowed to change their minds. And if I hold everyone to one idea, then it just makes me confused.
I don't want to have the conversation this week about small guards because that's something that's happening here, right?
Sure.
Where you're looking at
Tease it.
Dame as a superstar a few years ago, but wasn't good enough to win games by himself. And I think about the same exact conversations with Tyrese Maxey, where Sixers fans like, we'll move to Florida if you trade this guy. Like, he's the only redeeming thing that this Philadelphia has. We are so ready to turn on Embiid, and he had that long profile written about him that I don't know if you read the whole thing. It was quite lengthy.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
And it was about Joel Embiid and his just sort of general unhappiness was, I think, the most, not even charitable way of reading it, the most realistic way of reading it was that he was unhappy with the team at times. He was unhappy with his life at times, sort of struggled to condition, was depressed about his injuries. I'm like, these are all very understandable things. And
could have been at the Captain Jazz show.
And he revealed more of this in this interview than he typically has, and it was a very long profile. I thought it was well written. Ultimately, it just lets you know more about how he felt versus anything else. I don't think it was revealing otherwise. But I was glad that it came out when it did because it humanized him, and it was very sympathetic because my fear is that this kind of loyalty that franchises and players and fan bases have is that Embiid's going to lose that from Philly because he's hurt, because he's old, and that sucks.
And
I
the
wish
framing
that,
of him, the process, the framing of him is frustrating.
It's sad to me that someone like Dame Lillard, also a great player, not as good as Joel Embiid, in his when he's healthy, is so well loved in Portland. But Embiid is probably going to get turned on this year by Sixers fans because they have Maxey there as like their heir apparent. That is the hard worker, and he's charming,
the smile,
and he's a
company
winner.
man.
He's all these things, and I'm like, that's really cool though that Portland fans were just like, well, we just love Dame, we just love him, and I'm like, you can love Embiid. He's just hurt. Like he's got a really bad knee. Like you should love your important players. I think that's from a fan perspective, that's your job.
I find the discussion around Embiid to be disingenuous mostly. Not all Sixers fans, but even if you flip on randomly, and I don't mean to, flip on some pundit being like, the process was a failure, Embiid. And I'm like, dude, this is really disingenuous. Embiid was an MVP. Get him Scottie Pippen, get him Tony Kukoc, get him Dennis Rodman. Go out and do it. He's an MVP. There was an ESPN Top 100 list, I believe, all time that came out that got heat for like 2 hours and didn't. But I saw some Boston fans bristling at the fact that this is all time. I believe Tatum was closer to 100 and Joel Embiid was like 60 or something. They were like, Tatum's better than Joel Embiid. I'm like, on what planet? Like, this is just weird framing. Every MVP should just be a top 40 player.
Like, at no point ever.
Right.
Are they even in the same conversation?
But, this is how framing is frustrating, and this is, like, so obvious to even articulate, but Tatum has a championship. I'm like, yeah, he was awful in that series. But that was a really good team. Jaylen Brown is not better than Joel Embiid, but he was the finals MVP. These are all strange things. SGA wasn't even on the list, I believe, which was a strange omission. If you win MVP, you're a top 40 player of all time. Joel is probably top 25. I put him around Kobe. His injury really hurts his case because he doesn't have enough minutes.
Yeah. I don't know how the criteria works for an all-time list because
doesn't matter.
Kobe is the perfect example, right? Because like he has a whole bunch of championships. He has scoring titles. He fits all the criteria to be an all-time GOAT. And you're like, yeah, was he better than T-Mac though when they were both like at their best? And I would say no.
That was for one season, but yeah.
But I'm saying I would say T-Mac was always better than Kobe when he was healthy. But I would never put T-Mac above him on an all-time list though, because what you actually accomplish matters.
No, I agree. And championships are a stat. Like I always wonder, how Basketball Reference, an amazing site, changed my life, incredible. But we'll break down shooting and defense into minutia that they think is helpful, and it is. More information is better than less information. But when it comes to championships, they're like 5, 2, and I'm like, there should be a metric for what you did in that championship. Figure it out. Nerds, do your thing. But a championship shouldn't be in a vacuum because Kobe had different roles in all of his championships. Steph Curry kind of had different roles in all of his championships.
Kobe averaged like 15 and 4 or something like that in his
but
first
he gets
one.
He gets one.
But we're giving him the same credit that like LeBron gets for beating Golden State. It's like, okay, you each get one. You each got one. You each got one ring there. Okay, next up.
The degree of difficulty of LeBron beating that Warriors team should be like the standard for the hardest championship ever won. Watching that in real time, sort of like watching Joel Embiid play, astonishing. I'm like, this sport has never been better. I can't believe what I'm watching.
Like, gun to my head, I would say Joel Embiid is like a top 10 player of all time without the resume to back it up.
Oh, yeah. But that you just can't do that, right? Like,
I know. I'm doing it, Andrew. I'm doing it.
You cannot do that. But
look,
I don't.
When you've got the workflow of astronomer behind you,
hold on.
That's exactly the kind of take you're allowed to have.
You can't have workflow without consulting a third party. We have to consult a third party for this workflow. Is the DJ playing enough EDM? Oh, it's Diplo. It's like, who's Diplo?
Where's the workflow? No, I think Embiid though. You're like, Right. As far as all-time scorer, incredible defender.
Stretch spacer. He was a perfect center, a perfect center with a
Ar-
bigger
argu-
personality.
arguably the arguably the best defensive center in the league. Arguably him and Gobert, but I think Embiid was sort of better than Gobert. But Gobert was more active defensively overall. But Joe, healthy, I would say a better one-on-one defender. Like no one like cooked Joel Embiid. I mean, people would just hang 45 on Gobert kind of like regularly. Like no one just did that to Joe.
No one's arguing, that Gobert has issues, but Gobert is also wonderful, and he
Yeah,
gets a
great.
weird rep because he's French.
Yeah, great player. I just mean if you're like Embiid, so scored basically more points per minute than anyone in NBA history except for like Wilt, and was the best defensive player at the most important defensive position. I'm like, sounds like an all timer to me.
In the same way you claim you were at a legendary Wu-Tang concert where you God fell off the stage, I claim I might have been at Joel Embiid's signature moment in Wells Fargo when he beats the Knicks and does the airplane around the court, that all the photos become like legendary. I was at that game, man. I was laughing because the Knicks had that game.
Yeah.
We were all laughing because it was so awesome. Is there a bigger moment for Embiid? Because he doesn't go that far in the playoffs ever.
No. That was a big one. He did the airplane thing against Toronto.
That was sick.
In that series they lost. That was cool. Yeah. But he also had a wretched series against Marc Gasol.
Oh, he's good. But like, so this is an interesting idea to bring into the Dame conversation, because Dame has easily 2 or 3 memorable, insane Hall of Fame moments. And Embiid maybe has none. Tatum has none. Jaylen Brown doesn't really have one. Certain players do. Kobe has them, so we think he's a clutch shooter. He's not, but he has the moments. Michael Jordan, we've manufactured his push off against some plumbers as iconic, right? Craig Elo crumbles at the GOAT's wake. But these signature moments are certainly marketing, as we see Essenge got yammed on. Like, how is he going to recover from this moment? Certain careers are built on moments and certain careers aren't. And Joel Embiid never had them.
I agree. And the biggest moment of his career is Kawhi bouncing a shot in and Embiid crying. Like that is
Makes me love him so
signature-
much. Yeah.
That's his signature moment. If he was like,
Yeah.
how would you remember Joe's career? Is like him with tears in his eyes walking off the court.
Crazy. Yeah.
But I'm not saying this is right or wrong. That does not define him as a player, but that would be the moment that you'd say, other than the one you were talking about, which like, who even remembers what game that was? When he did the airplane thing, that was
The
cool.
Knicks, yeah. It was like mid-season, game 42, But yeah, I think of lore all the time, and when Dante hits that shot, it's like ingrained into my brain. Larry Johnson, Reggie Miller, all these things. Are they better than Josh Hart? I don't know, but lore is a crazy thing to inject into the basketball reference memory mind that we all create. It's like, well, does lore confuse our final number because Joel Embiid doesn't have a moment?
How many moments per 36 minutes are you generating, and how many lures do you have per game?
I wonder if we can. I mean, okay, we're in the age of AI. Technology is peaking. Like CEOs from workflow companies, can we not get a statistic based off of hits and images and retweets and social media action based off of moments, right? I mean, we would have to make
Like
a page for the chair for DeAndre Jordan, but
But you're saying a new version of Q rating that's based on internet traffic.
yeah, I mean, whatever, just give us that information. We can ignore it if we want. I don't really look at Warp anymore, but
This is something that a company like Astronomer might want to look into.
Yeah.
I could probably handle that for you.
You know what an astronomer can handle is getting busy with the HR person. That they can handle that. That's some flow.
So in other news, we had the WNBA All-Star Weekend was not without a little bit of controversy. All of the players, including Caitlin Clark, who is obviously did not participate, but was there. So this story is mostly about Caitlin Clark, who, like everyone else who participated, she did not, wore a t-shirt that said, "Pay us what you owe us."
Don't let the Cookies Hoops interns know about this. They're in their cage, happy as clams.
And that shirt, as you said, it infuriated you.
I was like, as the CEO of a workflow company, Cookies Hoops, I do not want our interns knowing about our profitability margins.
Turns out the women of the WNBA have their eyes on the prize, a nice, healthy slab of that forthcoming TV contract.
What, in 2 years, Disney, right? $2 billion, 2.2 billion with a B?
And they do not have the same revenue sharing as the male players, from my understanding.
Right. So the t-shirts they wore said, "Pay us what you owe us." And they all wore them. And Kelsey Plum afterwards, with Sabrina next to her, was like, we all decided to do it. But none of Caitlin Clark's team was there. But Caitlin Clark wore the shirt, photographed in the shirt, seems to be into this messaging. There was a multitude of attacks that these players had to deflect after they initiated this debate, right? And I think mostly men were like, well, this is a losing money proposition. The league loses money every year. So if you want to get paid what you owe, it'd be nothing. And that's very cynical and sexist and all these obvious things. And then there were other people saying Caitlin Clark is not a team player, and this league is based up of many different parts, her just being one of them. And so we have to stop making about one person, start thinking collectively and bargaining collectively like a traditional union. And then you had people like me being like, this is a tradition of workers trying to get what they're paid. And obviously the accountants and economics people were saying, like, if you agree to a number for a worker, they must get paid that number. And now they're negotiating a higher ceiling.
Well, my sympathy is always going to go with the workers, except for when it comes to the Cookies Hoops interns. They are not the kind of people I have solidarity with. But generally speaking,
although their hardships produce better t-shirts, better hats, better blog posts, better Instagram feeds. So I think they need to learn how to pull up their bootstraps and wait for that delicious trickle-down gruel that we will provide them in time. But they're just becoming better shit posters.
If there's one thing I can promise as an executive here and an astronomer, knowing the kind of workflow that we have, I will vow now to provide less gruel for our interns at all times.
And I promise not to bring any intern to a Coldplay show. Maybe with another intern for a big three. I will not do that.
No. So it is weird to me how much dudes hate on the WNBA. I'm sorry, it's just fucking weird.
Women, how much dudes hate women, man. It's crazy. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's so strange to me. And maybe it's that I can't look at the person who is typing these things because I don't know who they are. There's the veil of anonymity online. Right. There's an avatar. Because I'm not going and looking at the comments and saying, yep, as I suspected, it's a guy holding up a fish. Aha, it's a 12-year-old. I don't know the identity of these people, but it's like the cascade of dumb comments about, oh, that's why it's because Angel Reese can't make a layup. It's because they're not jamming. They need to lower the hoop. It's like, just shut up. just like none of these takes are interesting.
Yeah.
The greatest crime to me is the uninteresting take. Yeah, the sexism, I can take it or leave it, but the take, we've heard this over and over and over. Come on, if you're gonna be sexist, at least come up with some new material for us to sort through and argue about.
Right. And the reaction to it is also cringeworthy. We don't want to be a Jason Sudeikis and be like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This is Jordan versus Olajuwon. This is Curry versus LeBron. It's like, don't do that. I mean, Sudeikis doesn't say that, but you know what I mean. Just like standing for it in a way that feels performative as well. And I'm not going to pretend I don't participate in a sexist and racist society, because like we just do. So, you know, when people generalize and say like all men are sexist and all white people are racist, obviously it's not true. But what the point is, it's a poorly written way of saying the structures are in desperate need of maintenance, and we need to fix it. It's going to take a long time, and it might not be very observable, but we have to recognize that there's a problem with the structure in order to get better as human beings, right? Like we want to evolve, I think. And the WNBA players are expressing a very basic and educated, in terms of that $2.2 billion contract coming, a basic demand, which is we would like to see a portion of those profits because we feel like we've worked for it.
Well, also, without getting into the nuts and bolts of the economics, which I do not know for the WNBA exactly. It's like, hey, look, if we are on TV and we're selling merch and we're bringing fans to stadiums and people are excited about this sport, I don't really care that much about what your books say. Just like, well, look, then you figure that out. We're giving you a product that people are increasingly into, that is getting talked about on Twitter left and right, that's causing arguments on social media. We gave you the product. You figure out the marketing. You figure out how to make this work. Like, we're doing our stuff.
You're a suit, start suiting.
I thought that was what we're doing here, right? We're splitting the money. Yeah. You're getting more of it. You're the owners. You're the executives. We're just the players. We're creating a product that is now increasingly popular. Your turn to step up.
And this has been a problem with economics and politics since Reagan, right? We believe when the rich have the opportunity to create commerce, it'll come down and affect people at the bottom, trickle down, and help our lives get better. But every time we look up, we're like, where's that trickle down? They're like, oh, but we're not making any money. We're losing money. It's like, but you're rich. It's just like, no, but the company actually is reporting a loss this year. I'm Elon Musk. Tesla has not made any money, but I'm the richest man on earth. Like, how is this possible? It's just like, oh, you don't understand business. If you understood business, maybe you'd be the owner of the LA Sparks.
Why is this trickle down just pee?
It's a Coldplay trickle. It's yellow. Oh, it's my HR director. What's happening?
Just when Flying Daggers came on, too. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the NBA offseason stuff. Because, well, actually, before we go on, the one thing I do want to say about the WNBA All-Star is that what the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese popularity allowed them to do was start introducing more characters within the WNBA extended universe of celebrity, where if you liked Caitlin Clark enough to watch the games, even if you're a dummy or like whatever,
Easy,
wherever
I'm
you
sitting right here. Yep.
Wherever you are, you almost certainly know who a lot of these other stars now, and you may not have. You know who Asia Wilson is. You know who Fisa is. You know
Sabrina Ionescu.
You know who Paige is. And as you expand this like roster of stars, there's going to be new ones like Juju and so forth. So I think that's been the cool development of the WNBA over the last couple of years is seeing how this one lightning rod personality, which people, and maybe I correctly said, well, this is the only reason that people are paying attention to this now. There could have been truth in that, but it also did then open up a reason for people to also pay attention besides her. So when she's out, yes, that is your main attraction. People want to see her, but you still have other good players. You still have other stars. You still have, Brooke announcing finally that she's a lesbian, and like, look at this cute couple. It's like they're expanding into like that group of gods, like in Greek mythology. It's like, okay, we've got our Hera and our Zeus, and now we're building out the rest, and then we'll get to a goon and a prankster. It's like you're building out the whole universe, and I feel like we're seeing that happen. And I mean, Plum is a character in that same universe. It's like it's happening.
Yeah, I mean the tool, and I don't think marketing is easy. I think marketing takes as much talent as playing basketball, and there's only a few Kelsey Plums in marketing, and it doesn't seem like the WNBA has the Liberty's roster in those suit positions, but they should work on getting them. Sort of like our Colbert take, right? It's like talent is expensive everywhere. And I think we're now seeing a little more talent on the court in the WNBA than there is in the offices and in the marketing rooms and in the league offices. And that has to balance because, to your point, there is an ecosystem and universe building on the court that is not as hard to market as it was pre Caitlin Clark. Because we have people settling into their storytelling roles, right? As the foil, as the villain, Kelsey Plum, a great villain. And I think she's conscious of this. It's like, if I'm not wacky and kind of a shit talker, then someone else has to be. And you guys aren't as good at me as this. So, like, I'm going to playfully foul somebody. I'm going to give this second year messiah of a player a really hard time forever. I'm going to give Paige Beckers a performatively hard time. Like, love her or hate her, you're paying attention to her. And she's marketing herself in that regard. So, like, talking about the revenue is kind of disingenuous because these workers see the potential. And as we know, in good business, the happier the workers are is dependent on their future role in the company and their value moving forward.
Real workflow shit right there. You know who else is a happy worker these days? Klay Thompson. He's out here in the gym with his new girlfriend, Megan Thee Stallion, and they're lifting weights together. They're lying out on the AstroTurf, doing their exercises. There's a camera there for some reason, documenting them in the gym, their whole workout. I guess that's normal, right? When you jump on the exercise bike, you're like, hey, get a camera going. Let's make it clear that Quo is putting in the elbow grease during the off season in order to pod better come fall.
I'm trying to think of a word combination for this, as you're suggesting, maybe preconceived entity of Clay and Megan. Is it Cleggan? Megay? Well, how would you do this? Cleggan.
Yeah, there's not a great one.
It's not great, and this unification is not great either. We're just like, this is crazy. Oh, okay, this is cool. This is cool. It reads to me as a Rhea phenomenon because I don't want to spill the beans too much at tea, but like, I believe Clay is on Rhea, and I believe people on social media have matched with Clay. I've seen our friends match the same people as Clay, maybe crossover dating sometimes. Clay is a modern man, and he's a funny man and an opportunistic entertainer, I think, as we found out on his jaunts to China. So this is like fun for all, but it's not that funny.
Yeah, I know that Clay also he dated a model. I forget her name a while back there, but that went on for a few years. Laura Harrier, who's like kind of a model
Oh,
who's
an
out and
actor.
about.
Was she in Spider-Man?
Maybe she does acting as well. I don't know her full career. I just know that she's like a recognizable actress or model, and they dated for a while in a not a high profile relationship, but sort of the same.
Right.
And I have mutual friends with her. I don't know her, and they would tell me about being around Clay a lot because
I wanted to drag you into this
that
Rhea
situation.
thing because like I'm fascinated by Rhea, not as someone who's never used it. I wish I understood it because it seems like the one great app that has survived.
I don't know how effective it is in comparison to other ones, but I think it's one that Clay Thompson would use as opposed to Hinge or I don't know, Bumble or something
Mhm.
like that. What was Mitchell Robinson on? Was that Bumble?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just one of those apps. But like, I have friends who have not qualified for Rhea, and it's like hurt their feelings. Like they are interesting, cool people, but I wouldn't say like as good looking as Megan or Clay. And they've been like, sorry, your application for Rhea has been denied or whatever. And it's like really hurt their feelings. I know two people like that.
Well,
Um,
yeah, they won't actually tell you that you've been rejected. They just
oh,
you
they just
just
can't
never
use it. Right.
never hear back from them. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
think
God.
I,
An
I
app can
believe
ghost you?
I believe that they just tell you that it's under review indefinitely. I think so.
Oh my gosh. Like, when does Rhea become? Have you seen this Times Magazine cover story about the young woman who is dating an AI entity? That came out this week, like in a romantic relationship, not unlike Spike Jonze's movie Her, um, but a lot of people are writing articles about anecdotes about people who are attaching themselves emotionally to computer prompts, essentially. Like, does Rhea itself, and this is a bit farther away from Megan and Clay that I wanted to go, but is Rhea itself an entity that has its own personality?
No.
Like, how can you predict who it matches you with? And is that based off of its algorithm or your information into the
Well,
algorithm?
I mean, I don't know what's specific about that dating app as opposed to other ones. I
Mhm.
feel like they all use the same principle for the most part, which is the like left right swipe mechanism, and they all do the same
And
thing.
they track your usage, right? Your taste. You give it information constantly.
Yes, and I would say that the difference with something like Raya is just that it's far fewer people are on it,
When we say
and
far fewer, you mean how many suggestions would a person get in a night?
well, I don't know how it
5
works.
or
Is
15?
well, there's like subscription based stuff
Oh,
where
okay.
it's like,
Okay.
okay, you'd get like 30 likes in a day that you can use, and then if you paid more, you could have unlimited swipes. And again, I feel like
Oh,
the
interesting.
one thing that Raya has is that they are just trying to make sure that people are generally more good looking or famous, have a lot of
For sure.
followers.
For sure.
So if you're Clay Thompson, you
Like I would not.
probably
I would get
you
ghosted.
you probably wouldn't use a different one if you were Clay Thompson because this is the one that would not only you don't want to be on one that's just for like executives. You want to be on this one because it does overlap with like Emrata.
Sure, like famous people who are in the public eye.
Right.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, yeah. Eh,
Basketball players who have been seen on there,
KD,
like Katie Gallinari.
Gallo,
Yeah,
San Gennaro
this is
legend.
over the years, Chet.
Oh, Chet. Hey, we have not gotten enough viral Chet moments post championship, have we? I thought we were going to get a bevy of Chet quotes, some videos, some TikToks. Nothing. Just a massive contract.
The only thing we got was Chet wearing the WB Warner Brothers shirt during Summer League.
Excellent, but also a bit real hip hop. I kind of wanted a Zoomer energy from him. I mean, it's fun, but
I gotta say, OKC, we talked about their lack of debauchery following the finals. People were mad they weren't drinking enough,
Yeah.
and so forth, whatever. But I'm with you, though. I don't really recall seeing that many images from even the parade in OKC.
Yeah.
Not to say there weren't some ones that people there wouldn't have enjoyed, but I don't remember anything. But it's very hard when because mentally you compare everything to like Draymond being super drunk and cursing and J.R. Smith not wearing a shirt. It's like, well, you can't really defeat those two things.
Yeah. And I always forget that these insane professional athletes are more like record producers than the rappers, right? They're nerdy in the lab. They do their thing. Shea wins MVP, finals MVP, a championship. But he's like, I kind of just go to the gym a lot. I don't know how to be a celebrity.
I feel like there's conversations that we've had, and a lot of people have had about the coolness or the lack of as an epidemic in the NBA is like so much based on that LaMelo and Ja have just gotten hurt.
Yeah, but okay,
If they were in the mix on both on like top six teams, like one was instead of Brunson and one was instead of Halliburton, like no disrespect to those guys, but if they were in a finals team and a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think the conversations about the league being cool or uncool would sort of be different.
I agree, but it's important to recognize the disingenuous portion of this coolness in the NBA debate because are we basing it on a generational view of it? Like, is Tom Brown suits in the finals? Is that cool? Are we talking about like Chris Webber, who is moonlighting as a rapper? Is that cool? Is Iverson cool? I think he's cool, but maybe we're talking about funny, goofy Zoomers like LaMelo Ball, who has strange Nickelodeon themed shoes. Is that cool? I think it is, but I don't know from what starting point we're at.
The only thing that people can agree on is that AI is cool. The rest is really subject to interpretation.
Maybe.
Ant gets a lot of credibility, but AI, he's kind of the only one. Like, all right, we can all agree on the baseline for cool is AI.
Maybe, but there will be quick on Twitter, obviously, for someone to mention his maybe some Miles Bridges actions in his life that make him deeply, deeply uncool.
It's possible.
It's out there, right? To me, like, did you see the picture of the Thunder on the red carpet dressed up like Kanye and Verge back in the day? Like, I think Hartenstein had like a weird velvet suit with bell bottoms. Dort was looking especially Dortish, and SGA was the Superman of the squad in his outfit.
Were they doing it intentionally?
I think they were just trying to look good, and then their pose in that moment of the photo that was used just directly related to Kanye during Paris Fashion Week.
Was it the photo that's I believe shot in like Moray and it's like Sarah, Virgil, Kanye? Is it that one?
Yeah.
Like some of them have little brief.
What's his name? Have little Farnsworth Bentley.
Bentley Farnsworth.
Bentley
some of them holding little briefcases and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, all very expensive stuff, all co-signed by the designers. I believe it was a lot of Louis, maybe, but which ends up being a very influential moment because we don't get to Pharrell without going through that first, in my opinion. But like, what first before we have that is the NBA cool argument? I want to know what the person thinks is cool. Because
no, I agree.
What I think is cool is definitely not cool.
No, to me that is the the best caveat to the conversation
Yeah.
is that it's like, yeah, but you have to give us examples of cool first.
Right, right. I mean, I would be a mess there. I'd be like, are they My Chemical Romance? Is anyone painted in white face paint and screaming about emotional thoughts? Because
Or
that's as
even
cool as it
even
gets.
but even being more specific, okay, if we're gonna agree on AI as being cool, as the North Stone, the North Star for coolness, that was 20 some years ago. Surely you must have some examples from the last decade of players that you think are cool. No,
Like,
okay. So you're saying there's been no cool players in the NBA until now? Well, then you're not being constructive.
can we put some NBA players in bell bottoms? Maybe make them Black Crowes cover band members. Those blues licks, man. Oh, a bandana around the microphone, a scarf, a silk scarf around the microphone post game.
Now that's fucking cool as hell.
That's cool as hell, man. Velvet Sundown.
Before we leave, let's talk a little bit here about your boy Rob Pelinka, who just scooped up former Defensive Player of the Year, Hustle Player of the Year multiple times over, all defense multiple times over, absolute lock for the Hall of Fame, Marcus Smart.
A wonderful shining example of the product that the BMM has created through words and awards and voting. Because while he was a wonderful defender and a great piece to a good team, I think that award has maybe falsely inflated his value, and I think Memphis wanted a piece of that, and maybe for some reason or another gave up on it, and then he comes from the Wizards to the Lakers. That's a nice get because the Lakers don't have that much money, and getting Marcus Smart is certainly not bad. Um, but what's sad is like Plinka wins the lottery twice. He wins the LeBron James lottery and he wins the Luka Doncic lottery. And then he can't put a team around them. So we're going to get another lost year of LeBron James, who doesn't have many left.
Yeah, Marcus Smart is a good basketball player when he's healthy, which
Yeah.
he has not been for the last couple of years. In Memphis, he played 20 games last season. This year, he played 34 games, split between Memphis and Washington, started like 7 of them. The biggest issue with him is that he is just not that good of a three-point shooter. So if you're going to have him playing out there with Luka and LeBron, assuming he's healthy, which is not something you can assume, guy's got a lot of floor burns over the years.
He's the original floor slapper, but I like him. He was my
No, I
favorite
like him
Celtic
too.
forever.
He is a good player. He is a good player. But if he's not healthy and he's not able to hit threes, I understand why you would add him to the team as a quality basketball player. I just don't know how well that works aside LeBron and Luka if he's available and if he can knock down threes. You need guys on the court who can shoot next to those two. Like, that's just the one mandatory thing. And if he's shooting 32% from three, no one's going to guard him.
I don't want to open up the Pandora's box that is the Philadelphia 76ers, but we always talk about how deflating this kind of team build is when you just acquire veterans after their prime because they're available, whether that be Reggie Jackson, Marcus Smart, Drummond. They're good players. Andre Drummond's a nice player. Marcus Smart is certainly a nice player.
Eric Gordon, incredible player.
Right. And I think if Eric Gordon was available, Pelinka would sign him. I don't know if this is because it's like the final touch of a team build that has been discussed in Moneyball, or when veterans like LeBron James, who have a say in personnel, are like, I want the proven guy. I don't want to play with Dalton Connect. You know, it's like, I'm not interested in a rookie now. I'm 40 years old. So that must have something to do with it. Marcus Smart is known as a team leader. That's great. But the Lakers are not in contention. It's not because their hands are tied behind their back. Pelinka did not create a good team. You're strapped because Pelinka's in charge.
Yeah, I mean, not to make this about the Sixers at all, but yeah, you compare that build and say, okay, aging stars with a bunch of role players around them. That's a winning success, right? Like that's how we can win a title. And you're like, I don't know, man. Because that was a model that had some success, say, with LeBron in Miami. Okay, we're gonna bring in, okay, we can do this.
Yeah,
We can bring in, James Johnson and Mike Miller and Shane Battier, and we can put Chris Anderson. We'll have a few guys, some vets around them, and we can win a title. And I'm like, yeah, they had LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh.
Yeah,
That's
incredible play.
That's a crazy combination of players.
But then LA might think that they have Luka Doncic and LeBron James.
And LeBron is still great. Luka is great. Austin Reeves is a solid player.
I like him. Yeah.
But that Miami team didn't win 6.
Yeah. I hear our good friend Do Kim's voice in my head. And when he blew my mind, when he was like, listen, I know the Lakers make mistakes as much as any other franchise, but having unwavering optimism has always suited me well. Did I think I was going to get Luka Doncic? No, but we got him. And it's just like, this is why I'm optimistic that the Lakers are going to do something, because it always kind of works out for us. Not year to year, but in cycles. But I'm like, they're squandering this cycle. They were gifted this MVP caliber player to go with LeBron James, the ultimate aging glue guy at this point in his career, who is still a top 10 guy. Like, don't sign Marcus Smart. Like, I know they don't have the apron space to get like a Quentin Grimes who wants 25, will probably end up at 15. The Lakers can't even do that. But this is on you. Get creative or pay the tax.
Yeah, and also the way that OKC is built or Indiana is built, you have a little bit of a window. Even with the Celtics, they signed all those guys to big contracts. Tatum got hurt, like, blow it up. No chance. Like, it's very difficult now with the way that contracts work to have a window that is more than a couple of years, because in order to have high-end talent on the cheap, like OKC did, that window is small, where those guys are good enough to win a title as your core until they get paid. And now this offseason, we saw the two complementary players, J-Dub and Chet, both get their monstrous contract extensions, and SGA makes like $75 million a year. It's like, okay,
Hartenstein is gone.
Your math is now,
will be available.
Your math is now different.
Yeah.
And for all of the roasting of these other teams who are doing the scrounging in the veteran garbage bin, in like 2 years, OKC might be like, Marcus Smart, let's kick the tires on that guy, because like the money just changes. Now they probably won't, because they have 1 million draft picks and they can keep getting younger guys. But I just mean, reality does change how you approach team building, even if philosophically you don't want it to.
Right. Yeah. And in that sense, I have to give the Lakers credit here, because when the Dodgers ownership signed up, we heard it's like, oh, let the spending begin. They're going to put pressure on them the way the Dodgers put pressure on the Major League Baseball system, being like, we're going to pay taxes, we're going to get the best players, and we're going to win. And we're going to get money through broadcast, through other avenues to recoup from our taxes. And you guys could do that too. You're just not doing it. You're scared. We don't manage scared. And the Lakers, if I was an actual Lakers hater, having a good Lakers team is great. But if I actually wanted them not to succeed, I'd be like, sign Kuminga for a good contract, sign Grimes for $20 million. Like, sign these players that I don't think will age well contractually, and hamstring your team, if that's the right phrase. But they're not. They're very tentative, and I think they're waiting for a bigger fish than Jonathan Kuminga.
It's also like Chris Rock line, like, men are as faithful as their options, whatever it is. It's like, okay, we'd like to be built like OKC, but you're not. You have 42-year-old LeBron James, Luka, and Austin Reeves, and not a lot of cap space otherwise. You can want to be OKC all you like. You have Joel Embiid and Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. It doesn't matter how much you want to emulate a team that's, okay, incredible bench, everybody young and cheap. They're all going to play defense. They're all going to be able to shoot. Okay, you're right. This is what the modern league looks like.
We're a tough team, defensive. We have Jalen Brunson. Okay, we're a finesse team now.
It's like, your options are Marcus Smart or Eric Gordon. You're like, that doesn't fit in the prevailing modern idea of basketball that I was cultivating in my mind. I thought we could have like a second round pick who's as good as a starter, coming off the bench, knocks down open threes, real dog on defense. Like, okay, well, go get one of those guys. Well, we don't have one.
And this is revealing. I was joking on Twitter saying like both LA Clippers and that I saw just re-sign Chris Paul while we were potting, which is crazy. So Chris Paul is now with the Clippers, who just added Bradley Beal. Boring as hell, probably going to get hurt, but interesting, right? And it bears mentioning here and talking about Pelinka and the Lakers, because what I thought was it reflects the city of LA itself, and that's wonderful because they're collecting famous names, and people are like, Marcus Smart is the Defensive Player of the Year. DeAndre Ayton's a former number 1 overall pick. Chris Paul is Chris Paul, right? And like, you can see the personality of Los Angeles kind of informing these team builds, which is great, which is my dream. Unfortunately for the Lakers, I don't think it's going to be a hit movie. For the Clippers as well, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be a hit movie.
But I know what you mean. All right, they're playing like Chris Paul, LeBron James, Marcus Smart, Bradley Beal, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Nicholas Batum.
I love Batum there. He's the only kind of like interesting piece, even at age 58.
He's like Bobcats legend.
I love Batum. But Lakers, we don't have to be scared of the Lakers this year. Clippers, maybe worthwhile of our attention.
You know what's always worthwhile of your attention, Andrew?
The workflow enterprise that is Cookies Hoops.
Astronomer!
Space! I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.